What is going on, fam? Welcome back to the channel. Before we get the video started, I just want to say Merry Christmas to everyone watching this video. I'm not sure if I'm going to be uploading like on Christmas Day or not. So if you don't hear from me, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys enjoy the time with your family and get a ton of car parts for Christmas. We have the Evo 8 in the shop today, and we are going to be installing a set of new coilovers on this car. Currently, we're running the HKS. It's like an older HKS coilover. I'll kind of show you guys. 1 second. These coilovers have the purple top plate on them, the purple camber plate. They're not a bad coil. The main problem I have with them is they're not really adjustable as far as the ride height goes. This isn't a bad ride height, but I would rather go a little bit lower in the front. So we do have a new set of coilovers to install on the car today, and I'm super excited. We got the wheels on yesterday, and we've been needing coilovers to get this thing looking how it should. Now, like I said yesterday, I'm not trying to slam the car. I'm not trying to do, you know, crazy FRS stance on it where it's like fender standing right on the wheel. I don't want any of that with this car. That's not what this car is made for. This car's made to haul ass and go around corners, enjoy the car, and not worry about debeating tires, hitting my wheels on the fenders, any of that good stuff. So let's pull out the coilovers. Let me show you guys what set we are installing on the car today. I'm freaking pumped for these things. So I'm sure many of you guys have heard of these coilovers before. They are made by YellowSpeedRacing. Here are the coils. Here are 2 nuts that came out of the box, and here is the toolkit. It looks like we have some dampening adjusters in there. Not only do they make coilovers for a ton of different cars, they also make big brake kits too. Maybe one day we'll have one of their big brake kits on one of our cars. That'd be pretty sick. So these coilovers here are considered the Dynamic Pro Sports. They offer like 3 or 4 different series of coilovers, and then I know they also offer like completely custom builds. So if you just call them up or email them, tell them exactly what you want, they can build pretty much anything for you. I would say these guys that we picked up here are probably comparable to the BCs on the Evo 10, around the same price range. We did get a discount code for you guys. It is Devin Niemela. I'll have it on the screen. That code will get you 10% off anything at YellowSpeedRacing.com. So any coilover kit or any big brake kit that they sell, anything on their site, Devin Niemela will save you 10%. Merry Christmas, guys. Go get yourself some new coils. The main thing I'm excited about with these coilovers versus the set we have installed right now is they're completely adjustable for the dampening. You can make them really stiff or super soft if you want a nice comfortable ride. On this car, I'm gonna go for a little bit stiffer of a setup. It's gonna be sitting pretty low to the ground, and I like to take this thing around some pretty gnarly corners. We got the front of the car up on some ramps. Let's get the front end started. How we're gonna be doing this today, we're gonna bank out the front, get the front sitting back on the ground, do the rears, get the rears installed, get it sitting on the ground, and then we're gonna go about adjusting the ride height of the car. So usually before I do anything with the car, I'll usually set the preload, but with this set, it says right here, the correct spring preload is set before the suspension kit leaves the manufacturer. So thankfully with this kit, we don't have to do any of that. All we have to do, get them installed on the car, and then set the ride height, and we'll be done. How you adjust the ride height on these is just twisting this lower mount in or out. So the higher up this mount goes on the shock shaft, the lower your car will be. The longer you extend the coilover, the higher your car is going to be. Let's get this thing up in the air, get the front wheels off, and get some new suspension installed. So to remove the coils that are on here, we have 3 nuts on the top. Those look like a 14mm nut. These 2 lower bolts right here, there'll be a nut on the backside holding on the brake line and the ABS line. That is just a 12mm nut. These 2 guys here are both 19mm, and the whole coilover assembly will pop off there. Let's do all the lower stuff first, and then we can get those 3 nuts up top. All right, we got the first coil off. Here's a little side-by-side comparison. So you see how this shock body threads into the lower mount. On here it's just fixed, so you can't really adjust the ride height of these. The only thing you can really do is just loosen these, take a bunch of spring preload out, but then your car kind of rides like trash. That's the main reason I'm switching to the YellowSpeed coils. And then of course we have the dampening adjustment, which is this up top. It's set all the way soft right now, but we can make it way more stiff if we want. Out with the old, in with the new. We got all new hardware for the top of this thing, so it's gonna look nice and pretty. Remember that lower lock ring, which locks the height of the car? That comes loose right from the manufacturer, so if you want them to just be at whatever ride height they come with, you have to lock that lower lock ring. But everything else on the coilover comes tight. When you install this, you want that camber plate to be perpendicular to the car. So if the car is running this way, that camber plate has to be running like this, so you can either camber in or camber out. So that's how it should sit. Here's our engine bay, camber plate running this way. We got the 3 top nuts hanging the coilover. Now let's move on to the slower section. If you want, you can throw some anti-seize or some grease on these bolts. That's what I'll do, just so they don't get stuck inside that lower strut mount. We're gonna be driving this car in the winter, so we don't want any of this hardware getting seized up on here. All right, so we just got all of the bolts stunged up. There's 2 ways to adjust camber on the front coilovers. First off is obviously this camber plate up top. You can mess with camber there. The farther in toward the engine bay you move this, the more negative camber you'll have. Opposite would be positive camber. This top bolt right here is also a camber bolt. I have it completely neutral right now. Our lower hub is completely flat with the coilover. That's how I'm gonna set it on both sides. I just want it to be even. And then if we need to adjust any camber, positive or negative, after the car is on the ground, we can just do it up here very easily with the top camber plate. That's usually how I do it. That bottom one's kind of a pain to get to just because you have to pull the wheel off. Top one's much more simple to adjust. As of right now, everything is just loosely tightened up. We do need to torque all the hardware, so those top 3 go to 33 foot-pounds. These bottom 2 are super tight at 100, I think it's 133 foot-pounds for those bottom 2. And then the brake line nut, you can just tighten that by hand. So let's get everything torqued down, get the wheel back on, and we can move on to the passenger side. Coilovers are identical on this car, passenger to driver side, so you don't have to worry about that. Front and rear are different. I'll show you guys the difference real quick on the front and rear. Easiest way to tell if it's a front or rear on your Evo 8 or 9. Rear has 2 bolts up top, the front has 3. Okay, so we have the front 2 coilovers on. Let's lower this thing down, see how it sits right now. I'm not gonna mess with the height until we get the rear coilovers on though. Oh wow, we're kind of monster trucking. That is how it sits right out of the box. It's even higher than before, but good thing we have a ton of adjustment. We could probably go like 3 inches lower if we wanted. I'll probably go like, I don't know, 1.5 inches lower. I want it to look good, I don't want it to be slammed. So the front on this car is about a 30-minute install, super easy. I think there was like 5 or 6 bolts total. The rears, on the other hand, should be quite a bit easier. There's 2 bolts up top, 1 bolt on bottom, no brake line crap to deal with. It's probably gonna be like 15-20 minutes for both sides to install. So on the rear, all we have are those 2 nuts up top. That is for the top of the coilover. I did have to remove that little panel right there. It's only like 2 or 3 clips to get out. And then 1 17mm nut and bolt right here, holding the bottom to that lower control arm. Just like the fronts, the rears are same side to side, passenger to driver. It's 100% identical. So on the rear, that lower bolt goes to 65 foot-pounds. The top 2 are the same as the front at 33 foot-pounds. Okay, so I have a strong feeling the rear is gonna be insanely low when you put it on the ground. That's how it's sitting right now, completely lifted up in the air. That's the new coilover side. That is with the HKS coilovers, the old ones. This thing's gonna be super low as of right now in the rear. Okay, usually it's a little bit too low when you can't get the jack out. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That I'm gonna go ahead and say that is a little bit low, and that is just a tad bit too high. That looks pretty good, I ain't gonna lie. I'm a huge fan of lowered cars, but for what this car is, no, not gonna happen on this thing. So as of right now, the front wheel to the fender is like 3.5 inches and the rear is 3/4 of an inch. We're gonna start off with a 2.5 inch wheel gap. 2.5 inches from the fender to the lip of the wheel right there, front and rear. Just make it even, and we're gonna be doing that side to side. Let's get the car jacked up in the air. I think we have to drop the front 3/4 of an inch, and then the rear is gonna go up 1 3/4 inches. So that's definitely a little bit better. The front is a little bit too high still, and the rear is a little bit too low. So I think I'm gonna go up 1/2 inch on the rear, down 1/2 inch on the front, and we should be good to go. So this right here is the final height we ended up with. It's 2.25 inches from the very top of the wheel to the fender. Front and rear is completely even. So in the front, we could probably go another inch lower, I would say, if we wanted. The rear, on the other hand, we could probably go like 3 or 4 inches lower. Front, the problem is the bottom of the coilover starts hitting the CV axle. So you'd have to go with a custom set with custom shock dampeners that are a little bit shorter if you wanted to slam the car. As for now, I think that is a pretty good height. Let's go ahead and do the same exact thing on this side, and then we can go for a drive, make sure it's a good height. We don't have to lower it or raise it a little bit. If it rubs at all, we'll probably have to raise it up a little bit. But for now, let's just stick with what we have, 2.25. Well, we definitely had some struggles trying to get off the ramps. It looks so good at this height. It just might be a little bit too low. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Should I just raise it up a little bit? Or should I leave it because it looks so damn good and just deal with the front being low? Or get a different lip? Let me know. Let's go on our first drive, make sure we don't have any crazy rubbing issues. I know we're gonna have a little bit in the rear because they're not really rolled. I know the tires are gonna hit the fenders because they did before with the old coilovers and it wasn't this low. We haven't had any rubbing issues whatsoever yet, but let's try to make like a full turn, full crank, and see how it feels. First impression of these coils is absolutely amazing. These things feel so good. They're quite a bit more stiff than the HKS, which is a good thing because this car felt so unstable in corners before, and now, a little bit of cornering I've done, it's felt amazing so far. I need to go grab the GoPro, take this thing on some windy roads and see how it really feels, but we gotta make sure we're not rubbing tires first. hear a little bit of a rub in that passenger side. Full cranked, I hear a little bit of something rubbing over here. It's not on the fender. We still have plenty of space there. I don't really know what it is. Maybe pull it back in the shop and see. I think I'm gonna leave this height exactly how it is for now. Let's drive it for the day. If we have rubbing issues a ton, then we can come back, raise it up maybe 3/8 of an inch, 1/2 of an inch if we need to. But it looks so good at this height. I don't want to raise it because it looks super, super good. The reason I want to make sure we do all this is because we still need to get an alignment. Say if we went and got an alignment and then we didn't like how low it was and we raised it, we'd have to redo the whole alignment. So let's make sure it's at a good height before we actually align this car. It looks so good at this height though. I want to keep it. I might just deal with it. I could always get a little bit thinner of a front lip if they make something. But at the same time, this lip looks really good on this car, I think. I'm super, super glad we went with the 245/35 instead of 245/40, because if we had a 40 series tire on here right now, it'd definitely be rubbing on the fenders. And the 35 series, like I kind of imagined when I bought them, they're thin enough to have a pretty low stance, but I don't want any tire stretch whatsoever. So I think a 245/35 is literally perfect on this car. I can't stop staring at it. This thing has came such a long way in the last like 2 weeks from when we pulled the motor to where it is now. We only have a few things left, like redo some headlight stuff, do obviously a full cut and buff on the car, get some windshield tint on it, do a few little interior things, clean up the engine bay a little bit more, and this thing will be a good winter car. It sounds weird to say. Maybe it won't be a winter car anymore. It's almost too nice to be a winter car. One thing I did notice is this car is already settling quite a bit. In that little 5-minute drive we did, it's already gone down a whole 1/4 inch. So it may even go down maybe another 1/8 inch when we drive it some more. Then we can bring it back in the shop, raise it back up to where we actually want it, and then get the alignment done. We've been driving around for probably 15-20 minutes. We are having a few little rubbing issues here and there, so I think maybe tomorrow I'll raise it. Actually, probably after Christmas, I'll raise this thing back up a little bit, probably 1/2 inch, and then get the alignment done. But dude, this thing is riding so good. I ended up going all the way stiff on the coilovers. I do prefer that stiffer feel, more of a raw feel, especially in this car. Evo 10, not so much, but this car, such a raw car, I prefer it stiff. It's still a good ride. You can definitely feel the road, and we need to get this thing on some corners as soon as we raise it up and see how it handles. But as of right now, I'm absolutely loving these coilovers. I did get a notice in the mail saying that I have a package in from Japan. I'm pretty sure it's the center caps for my 57 Extremes, the wheels on this car. So I'm headed to the post office right now, gonna pick that package up, and I brought some Allen wrenches with me just in case that they are the center caps. Let's hope they are, because I've been really, really wanting to get those things on this car. Should really complete the look of the black and blue theme that we're doing. Oh yes, that is gonna look so good on this car. So I'm at the mall right now to go Christmas shopping. It's like very last minute. I haven't bought a single present yet. But before I go inside, I wanna throw my center caps on and see how they look. These things are gonna look really, really nice on this car, I think. They actually came with all the hardware and an Allen wrench too, so that is pretty dope. Literally a game changer, guys. Those things look so damn good. I'll link it down below where I bought them. It was quite a bit cheaper than anywhere else, but they had to come straight from Japan, so they took a while to come in. I just did the ultimate test, which is pulling into the apartment complex. Just pulling in here, I almost ripped the bumper off, and then the rear tire was hitting the quarter panel as well, removed the rear wheel. So if I can't get into the own damn apartment without nearly ripping off the bumper, it's a little bit too low. So first thing tomorrow, I think I'm gonna raise it up, probably a 1/2 inch, maybe like a 1/4 inch in the back, 1/2 inch in the front, because as of right now, it is sitting a little bit lower in the front than it is in the back. It looks so good at this height though. Look at her. Look at that thing. It's so good. Once again, guys, if you want to pick up anything on YellowSpeedRacing.com, my discount code Devin Niemela will save you 10%. So it can save you anywhere from like $100 to $300–400. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think of the new setup. I already know everyone's gonna say it's too low. I agree. Once again, Merry Christmas. Hope you guys have an amazing day. Peace out. I'll see you tomorrow.